My beloved child, come close to me for a moment, away from the racing thoughts, away from the endless scenarios your mind keeps constructing about everything that could go wrong. I know the specific exhaustion of a mind that will not rest, replaying conversations, rehearsing disasters that have not happened, trying desperately to prepare for every possible outcome before any of them have even arrived. My beloved child, I want to speak into that exhaustion today. The peace I offer you is not the peace the world offers, the fragile kind that depends entirely on circumstances lining up perfectly. The peace I give is different, steadier, and it is available to you right now, in the middle of everything that currently feels so uncertain. I want you to understand what makes my peace different from the peace the world tries to offer. The world's peace depends on the absence of problems, quiet only when circumstances cooperate, disappearing the moment something goes wrong. My beloved child, this is why the world's peace is so fragile, so easily lost, so dependent on forces entirely outside your control. My peace does not work this way. It does not require your circumstances to resolve before it becomes available to you. It is present precisely in the middle of unresolved circumstances, a steadiness that does not depend on the storm calming down first. I want you to consider how strange this promise might sound at first. Peace available even while the uncertainty remains. My beloved child, this is not denial, not a call to pretend everything is fine when it is not. It is an invitation into a different foundation for your peace altogether, one rooted in my presence and my faithfulness rather than in guaranteed outcomes. Your circumstances may remain uncertain. My peace can still be present within that uncertainty, because it was never dependent on the uncertainty resolving in the first place. I also want to speak to the specific exhaustion of a racing mind, because I know this letter is not simply theoretical for you. My beloved child, you have spent hours awake at night running through scenarios, preparing responses to conversations that have not happened, imagining disasters in vivid detail as though rehearsing them might somehow prevent them or at least soften their blow if they arrive. I want you to know that this exhausting mental labor, however much it feels like productive preparation, is not actually protecting you the way it promises to. It is simply exhausting you, without providing the safety it claims to offer. I want you to bring your specific racing thoughts to me right now, in this very moment, not to solve them all immediately, but simply to acknowledge that they exist, that they are heavy, and that you do not have to carry them entirely alone anymore. My beloved child, I am not overwhelmed by the volume of your worry. I am not exhausted by how many times you have circled back to the same fear. I am here, fully present, ready to offer you a peace that does not depend on resolving every one of these worries before it can finally settle into your chest. So my beloved child, receive this different peace today. Not the fragile kind the world offers, dependent on everything going right. The steady kind I offer, available in the middle of everything still unresolved, present with you right now, in this exact moment of uncertainty, exactly as fully as it will be present on the day your circumstances finally settle. My beloved child, I have shown you that my peace is different from the world's peace. And now I want to speak to something important. Anxiety is not a moral failure. I know you have carried guilt on top of your anxiety, believing that a stronger faith, a better prayer life, a more disciplined mind would have prevented this constant worry from taking hold. My beloved child, I want to release you from this additional layer of guilt today. Struggling with anxiety does not mean your faith is deficient. It means you are human, living in a world that gives your mind plenty of legitimate reasons to feel uncertain and afraid. I want you to consider how anxiety often develops, not simply from a lack of trust, but from real experiences that taught your mind to stay vigilant, to prepare for danger, to scan constantly for what might go wrong. My beloved child, if you have lived through genuine instability, genuine unpredictability, or genuine harm, your mind's tendency toward anxious vigilance makes complete sense as an adaptation to what you actually experienced. This is not a spiritual failure. It is simply how minds respond to real difficulty, and I do not shame you for carrying that response even now. I also want to speak to the specific shame of comparing your anxious mind to people who seem naturally more at ease, wondering why their faith seems to produce a calm yours does not. My beloved child, not seeing the full picture of their internal experience. And even if their mind genuinely does experience less anxiety than yours, this does not mean their faith is superior or that yours is somehow lacking. Different minds, shaped by different histories and different neurological realities, will experience anxiety differently, and none of these differences reflect the quality of your relationship with me. I want you to release the guilt of having an anxious mind, bringing that mind to me honestly, rather than adding shame on top of an already exhausting struggle. My beloved child, I am not disappointed in you for struggling with anxiety. I am present with you inside it, patient with however long healing this pattern actually requires, without the additional burden of believing your anxiety itself is evidence of spiritual failure. So, my beloved child, release the shame connected to your anxious mind. It is not a moral failure. It is a real struggle, deserving of compassion rather than additional guilt. And I want to walk with you through it exactly as I would walk with you through any other genuine difficulty in your life. My beloved child, I have released you from the shame of your anxious mind. And now I want to speak to something practical. Your mind was not built to carry tomorrow today. My beloved child, so much of your anxiety comes from trying to solve future problems with today's limited information, today's limited resources, today's limited strength, none of which were ever meant to handle a future that has not yet arrived. I want you to understand that this mismatch, trying to carry tomorrow's weight with today's capacity, is a significant part of why anxiety feels so exhausting and so impossible to resolve. I want you to consider how differently your day would feel if you were only required to handle what today actually requires, rather than pre-solving every possible future scenario in advance. My beloved child, I designed each day to carry its own portion of trouble, sufficient for that day alone, not accumulated in advance from every day still to come. When you try to carry tomorrow's uncertainty today, you are attempting something I never actually asked of you. And it makes sense that this attempt leaves you feeling perpetually overwhelmed. I also want to speak to the specific trap of believing that worrying today somehow prepares you for tomorrow, softening its blow, giving you a head start on whatever difficulty might arrive. My beloved child, I want you to examine this belief honestly. Has your worry ever actually prevented the feared outcome from happening? Has it ever actually made the eventual difficulty easier to bear when it arrived? Or has it simply cost you today, the actual present moment you were given to live in, without providing any of the protective benefit it promised? I want you to practice, even in small ways, returning your attention to what today specifically requires, releasing the pull towards solving tomorrow's uncertain problems in advance. My beloved child, this is not carelessness or failure to plan wisely. Wise planning, done with a clear mind in its proper time, is different from anxious rumination, done repeatedly, compulsively, without ever reaching a resolution because the problem being solved has not actually arrived yet and cannot be fully solved in advance. So my beloved child, release tomorrow back into my hands where it has always belonged. Your mind was not built to carry a future that has not yet arrived. It was built to be present, faithful, and capable within the boundaries of today. And I want to help you slowly relearn how to live within those boundaries, trusting me with everything that lies beyond them. My beloved child, I have shown you that your mind was not built to carry tomorrow today, and now I want to speak directly to a lie your anxious mind keeps repeating, the lie that overthinking keeps you safe. My beloved child, I want you to examine this belief honestly, because I think if you look closely, you will find that overthinking has never actually provided the safety it promises. It has simply provided the illusion of control, the feeling of doing something productive about your fear, without ever actually delivering the protection it claims to offer. I want you to consider how overthinking typically operates, cycling through the same scenarios repeatedly, rarely arriving at new information or genuine resolution, simply repeating familiar fears in slightly different arrangements. My beloved child, this is not the same as genuine problem solving, which moves toward an actual decision or actual action. Overthinking, by contrast, tends to loop indefinitely, consuming enormous mental energy while producing very little actual progress toward resolving the underlying fear. I also want to speak to the specific belief that if you stop overthinking, something bad will happen that you could have prevented through more vigilant worry. My beloved child, this belief gives your anxious thoughts far more power than they actually possess. Your mental rehearsal of disaster does not actually influence whether that disaster occurs. It only influences how much of your present peace gets sacrificed in the process of imagining it repeatedly, whether or not it ever actually happens. I want you to notice the physical and emotional cost of this constant overthinking, the tension it holds in your body, the exhaustion it produces by the end of each day, the way it steals your capacity to be present for the good things actually happening around you right now. My beloved child, this cost is real, and it has never actually purchased you the safety it promised in exchange. You have paid dearly for a protection that was never actually being delivered. I want to invite you into a different practice, noticing when overthinking begins its familiar loop, and gently, without harsh self-criticism, choosing to interrupt it, returning your attention to the present moment, to what is actually true and actionable right now, rather than continuing to spin through hypothetical futures that overthinking cannot actually control or prevent. So my beloved child, release the lie that overthinking keeps you safe. It has never actually provided the protection it promised. It has simply exhausted you present moment after present moment, without ever delivering the safety it claimed to offer in exchange for all that mental labor. My beloved child, I have shown you the lie that overthinking keeps you safe, and now I want to speak to something that might bring you real comfort. I am not anxious about your future, so you do not have to carry it alone. My beloved child, I want you to picture the specific things you are worried about right now, and I want you to understand clearly, none of them catch me by surprise. None of them threaten my ability to remain steady. None of them cause me even a flicker of the anxious spiraling you have been experiencing. I already know exactly how your story unfolds, and I am not worried about it. I want you to consider what it might mean to borrow some of my calm regarding your future, rather than trying to generate your own sense of security entirely through mental preparation and worry. My beloved child, you do not have to feel calm on your own in order to experience genuine peace. You can borrow mine, trusting that my steadiness regarding your future is not naive optimism, but genuine knowledge. Since I already see the entire story, you are still only living moment by moment. I also want to speak to the specific comfort of knowing that someone who loves you completely is not worried about what worries you most. My beloved child, if someone you deeply trusted told you plainly that they were not anxious about a specific outcome you feared, someone whose judgment you genuinely respected, would that not offer you some measure of comfort, even before you fully understood why they felt so calm? I want you to receive that same comfort from me now. I am not anxious about your future. I already hold it fully, and I am completely unworried about how it unfolds. I want you to notice how differently you might move through your days if you regularly reminded yourself of this truth, that the one who actually knows your future is not anxious about it, that your own anxious scrambling to control what you cannot see is not necessary in order for your story to turn out well. My beloved child, this does not mean nothing difficult will ever happen. It means that even the difficulty, when it comes, is already fully known and fully held by me, without catching me off guard or threatening the ultimate good I am working toward in your life. So my beloved child, let my calm about your future begin to settle into your own anxious heart. You do not have to carry the weight of an unknown future entirely alone, straining to predict and prepare for every possibility. I already know what is coming, and I am completely at peace about it, and I want you to let that peace begin to become yours as well. My beloved child, I have shown you that I am not anxious about your future, and now I want to speak to the specific fear you keep circling, the one that surfaces again and again no matter how many times you try to reason your way past it. My beloved child, I know there is a particular fear underneath much of your general anxiety, a specific scenario, a specific loss, a specific outcome that your mind keeps returning to as though repetition might somehow prepare you for it or prevent it. I want to speak directly into that specific fear today, not simply to the general anxiety surrounding it. I want you to name this fear honestly, whatever it is, the health scare that has not resolved, the relationship that feels fragile, the financial uncertainty that keeps you awake, the fear of failure in something that matters deeply to you. My beloved child, I do not want you to keep this fear vague and unnamed, because vague fears tend to expand indefinitely, attaching themselves to everything, while a named, specific fear can actually be brought honestly before me, examined, and addressed directly, rather than remaining a formless dread hanging over everything else in your life. I also want to speak to how repetition of this specific fear has not actually made you more prepared for it, only more exhausted by its presence. My beloved child, I want you to consider bringing this specific fear to me directly, speaking it plainly rather than simply letting it circle silently in the background of your thoughts. Tell me exactly what you are afraid will happen. Tell me exactly why this particular fear feels so overwhelming. I am not asking you to solve it in this moment. I am simply asking you to stop carrying it in isolation, bringing it instead into the relationship where it can actually be held, rather than endlessly circled. I want you to consider that even if this specific fear were to come true, in whatever form it might take, I would still be present with you inside it, exactly as I am present with you in the anticipation of it now. My beloved child, the fear often imagines a future where you face this difficulty entirely alone, without my presence, without my help, without the resources you cannot yet see, but that I am already preparing for whatever season may come. This imagined isolation is not accurate. Whatever happens, you will not face it without me. So my beloved child, name your specific fear plainly and bring it to me honestly. I am not overwhelmed by it, and I am not asking you to resolve it entirely through your own mental effort. I am asking you to release it into my hands, trusting that even in the specific scenario you fear most, I remain present, capable, and completely undeterred by whatever difficulty that fear represents. My beloved child, I have invited you to name your specific fear honestly, and now I want to speak to a misunderstanding many of you carry, the belief that peace requires the absence of uncertainty. My beloved child, I want to correct this belief clearly today. Peace is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the presence of trust in the middle of uncertainty that has not yet resolved. If you wait for every uncertain circumstance to resolve before allowing yourself peace, you will spend most of your life without it, because life is rarely free of unresolved questions for very long. I want you to consider how much of your life is currently, and will likely continue to be, marked by some degree of genuine uncertainty. My beloved child, this is simply the nature of living in a world where you cannot see the future, where circumstances shift, where outcomes remain genuinely unknown until they finally arrive. If peace depends entirely on this uncertainty disappearing, you are essentially asking for permission to feel peace only in the rare moments when everything is fully settled, moments that may be far less frequent than the ongoing uncertainty that fills most of your ordinary days. I also want to speak to what genuine peace actually looks like in the middle of uncertainty. Not a false certainty about specific outcomes, but a settled trust in my character and my presence regardless of how those outcomes eventually unfold. My beloved child, I am not asking you to pretend you know how things will turn out. I am asking you to trust that whatever happens, I remain faithful, present, and capable of bringing good even through outcomes you cannot currently predict or control. I want you to practice even today, choosing peace in the middle of whatever remains unresolved in your life right now. My beloved child, this is not denial of the uncertainty. It is simply refusing to let that uncertainty hold your peace hostage until it finally resolves, choosing instead a peace rooted in something more stable than certain outcomes, a peace rooted in my unchanging character and presence. So my beloved child, release the belief that peace must wait for uncertainty to end. It does not have to wait. It is available right now, in the exact uncertainty you are currently living inside, offered not because your circumstances have become predictable, but because I remain trustworthy regardless of how unpredictable they currently feel. My beloved child, I have shown you that peace does not require the absence of uncertainty, and now I want to speak to the small, ordinary moments when your worry actually surfaces, the pause before opening a message, the silence before a phone rings back, the space between asking a question and receiving an answer. My beloved child, These small gaps are where so much of your anxiety actually lives. Tiny pockets of unresolved time that your mind rushes to fill with worst-case scenarios simply because they are unfilled. I want to meet you specifically in these small gaps, not only in the large, obvious crises you can name. I want you to notice how often your anxiety is not really about one enormous catastrophe, but about the accumulation of many small, unresolved moments throughout your ordinary day. Each one small enough to seem manageable alone, yet together forming the constant hum of unease you carry. My beloved child, I am present in each of these small gaps just as fully as I am present in the larger fears you have already named. You do not need a crisis to invite my peace. You can invite it into the waiting itself, into the pause, into the silence, long before any answer ever arrives. I also want to speak to how tempting it is to treat these small moments of waiting as neutral, as though they do not deserve attention, while quietly using them to rehearse disaster anyway. My beloved child, I want you to start noticing these small, unattended gaps. The moments in traffic, the moments before sleep, the moments scrolling without purpose, and gently bring even these small spaces to me, rather than letting them default to anxious drifting simply because nothing else was filling them. So my beloved child, let me meet you in the small gaps as much as the large ones. Your peace does not have to wait for the big questions to resolve before it can take root. It can begin in the smallest, most ordinary pause of your day, and from there, it can slowly spread into everything else. My beloved child, I have met you in the small gaps of your ordinary day, and now I want to speak to the specific exhaustion of your body, because anxiety is never only a matter of the mind. My beloved child, I know your shoulders carry tension you are not even fully aware of anymore, that your jaw tightens without your notice, that your stomach has learned to knot itself before you consciously register any specific fear. I want you to understand that I care about this physical toll as much as I care about the racing thoughts themselves, because you are not a mind floating apart from a body. You are a whole person, and I made you that way on purpose. I want you to consider how rarely you actually notice these physical signs before they have already been present for hours, sometimes days, quietly accumulating in your muscles and your breath. My beloved child, this is not a failure of self-awareness, so much as it is the simple reality of how anxiety often works, settling into the body first, long before the mind has fully articulated what it is afraid of. I want to invite you to start paying gentle attention to your body throughout your ordinary day, not with anxious scrutiny, but with simple curiosity, noticing where tension has gathered and softening it as best you can. I also want to speak to the shallow, quickened breathing that often accompanies your worry, breath that never quite reaches the bottom of your lungs, breath that keeps your whole body in a state of low-grade alarm, even when nothing immediate is actually threatening you. My beloved child, something as simple as slowing your breath, lengthening the exhale, is not a spiritual bypass or a distraction from prayer. It is one of the ways I have built your body to signal safety to itself, and using it is not beneath the seriousness of what you are carrying. I want you to notice, too, how sleep has been affected by this ongoing vigilance, how your body sometimes struggles to fully release into rest, even when the day is finally over. My beloved child, I am not distant from your exhausted nights. I am present in the darkness exactly as I am present in the daylight. And I do not require you to have resolved your worries before you are permitted to rest. Rest itself can be an act of trust, a way of telling your body that I am still watching even while you sleep. So my beloved child, bring your body to me along with your mind. The tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, the shallow breath, the restless nights, none of these are separate from the spiritual work I am doing in you. I care about your body's exhaustion, and I want to be present in your healing there just as much as I am present in the healing of your anxious thoughts. My beloved child, I have spoken to the exhaustion of your body, and now I want to address the specific comparison that quietly fuels so much of your anxiety, the habit of measuring your life against everyone else's apparent ease. My beloved child, I know how easily you scroll past curated glimpses of other people's lives, their apparent calm, their apparent certainty, their apparent success, and how quickly this glimpse becomes a private verdict against your own struggling, uncertain life. I want to speak plainly into this habit today. I want you to consider that what you are seeing from others is never the whole picture, only the fragment they have chosen to show, filtered through the same instinct towards self-protection and curated presentation that shapes what you choose to show as well. My beloved child, comparing your full, complicated, anxious internal experience to someone else's carefully selected external presentation was never a fair measure to begin with, and continuing to use it will only ever leave you feeling behind in a race that was never actually real. I also want to speak to the specific fear that your anxiety marks you as somehow less capable, less faithful, less put together than those around you who seem to move through life with greater ease. My beloved child, capability is not the same as the absence of struggle, and faithfulness is not measured by how calm you appear on the surface. Some of the people you envy for their apparent ease are carrying struggles you cannot see, and none of you were ever meant to be measured against one another in the first place. I want you to notice how much energy this constant comparison consumes. Energy that could instead be spent simply living your own specific life, in your own specific circumstances, with your own specific measure of struggle and growth. My beloved child, I did not create you to walk someone else's path with someone else's temperament and someone else's history. I created you to walk your own path, with my presence alongside you exactly as you actually are. So my beloved child, release the habit of comparing your anxious, complicated life to the curated fragments of everyone else's. You are not behind. You are not less capable. You are simply living your own particular life, with your own particular struggles, and I am present with you in all of it exactly as fully as I am present with anyone else in theirs. My beloved child, I have spoken to the trap of comparison, and now I want to address the specific fear of losing control, because so much of your anxiety is really an attempt to hold on to a control you were never actually meant to carry alone. My beloved child, I know how much comfort you find in feeling like you have accounted for every variable, prepared for every contingency, arranged every detail so that nothing can catch you by surprise. I want you to consider gently today how much of this effort is actually sustainable, and how much of it is simply exhausting you without ever delivering the security it promises. I want you to notice how much of your life, if you are honest, was never actually within your control to begin with. Other people's choices, the timing of events, the outcomes of decisions made long before you were even involved. My beloved child, this is not meant to frighten you further. It is meant to release you from an impossible job you were never actually qualified for. The job of controlling outcomes that were always going to depend on far more than your vigilance and preparation alone. I also want to speak to the specific relief available to you the moment you stop pretending that control was ever fully yours to hold. My beloved child, letting go of an illusion of control you never actually possessed is not the same as recklessness or carelessness. It is simply honesty about the actual shape of your life, an honesty that finally allows you to invest your energy in what is genuinely yours to influence, rather than exhausting yourself trying to manage everything else as well. I want you to consider what it might feel like to hold your plans with open hands, doing your genuine part faithfully while releasing the outcome into my keeping, rather than gripping every detail so tightly that you have no capacity left for anything else. My beloved child, this open-handed posture is not passivity. It is trust, active and ongoing, choosing again and again to do what is yours to do while releasing what was never yours to control in the first place. So my beloved child, release the illusion of total control you have been quietly trying to maintain. It was never actually within your reach, and continuing to reach for it will only exhaust you further. Do what is genuinely yours to do, and release the rest into hands far more capable of holding an entire world than yours will ever need to be. My beloved child, I have spoken to the illusion of control, and now I want to address the specific fear surrounding your health. The way your mind sometimes catastrophizes a passing symptom into an entire imagined future of illness and loss. My beloved child, I know how quickly a small physical sensation can spiral into hours of searching, imagining, and preparing for outcomes that have not actually been confirmed by anyone qualified to confirm them. I want to speak gently into this specific pattern today. I want you to consider how this particular fear often operates by racing far ahead of the actual present evidence, treating an unconfirmed possibility as though it were already a settled fact, and then asking your body to carry the emotional weight of a diagnosis that has not actually been given. My beloved child, this is an especially cruel trick your anxious mind plays, and I want you to notice it clearly so you can begin to interrupt it rather than following it wherever it leads. I also want to speak to the wisdom of seeking appropriate medical guidance when genuine symptoms arise, rather than relying solely on searching or imagining to settle your fear. My beloved child, bringing a real concern to someone qualified to actually examine it is wise stewardship of the body I have given you, and it is not a lack of faith to seek this kind of practical care. Faith and appropriate action have never been opposed to one another. I want you to notice, too, how much of this specific fear is rooted in a deeper fear of losing control over your own body, over your own timeline, over your own future. My beloved child, I already hold your days, including the ones that involve illness or difficulty of the body, and my presence with you in those days does not depend on whether they turn out the way you hoped. Even there, I remain present, capable, and undeterred by whatever your body eventually experiences. So my beloved child, bring your health fears to me honestly, and also to those equipped to examine them properly. Do not let your mind race ahead of the actual evidence into imagined catastrophes. And know that whatever your body eventually faces, I remain present with you inside it, exactly as I am present with you in this moment of uncertain waiting. My beloved child, I have spoken to the fear surrounding your health, and now I want to address the specific worry many of you carry about money, about whether there will be enough, whether the numbers will work out, whether the next unexpected expense will finally be the one that breaks what feels like an already fragile arrangement. My beloved child, I know this particular fear keeps some of you awake as much as any other, quietly running calculations, quietly imagining worst-case scenarios involving bills and shortfalls and decisions you are not yet certain how to make. I want you to consider how this fear often convinces you that provision depends entirely on your own vigilance, that if you stop worrying even for a moment, something essential will slip through the cracks. My beloved child, I want you to notice how exhausting this belief actually is, requiring constant mental calculation as though provision were solely dependent on the sharpness of your own worry, rather than on genuine wisdom paired with trust in my ongoing faithfulness. I also want to speak to the specific shame some of you carry around financial struggle, believing it reflects some deeper personal failure rather than simply the reality of circumstances, systems, and seasons that are often far larger than any one person's effort or discipline. My beloved child, I do not measure your worth by the state of your finances, and I do not want you carrying an extra layer of shame on top of an already stressful practical situation. I want you to bring your specific financial fears to me honestly, naming the actual numbers, the actual bills, the actual uncertainty, rather than letting them remain a vague, looming dread. My beloved child, I am not overwhelmed by your specific circumstances, whatever they currently are, and I want to walk with you through the practical decisions ahead, exactly as I walk with you through every other genuine difficulty in your life. So, my beloved child, release the belief that provision depends entirely on the sharpness of your own worry. Bring your specific financial fears honestly before me. Pursue wise and practical steps where you are able, and trust that I remain present and faithful even in seasons where the numbers feel far more uncertain than you would like them to be. My beloved child, I have spoken to the worry surrounding money, and now I want to address the fragile feeling you sometimes carry about your closest relationships. The fear that the people you love most could still slip away, misunderstand you, or eventually leave. My beloved child, I know how much of your anxious energy goes toward monitoring the people closest to you, reading tone in a delayed reply, searching for hidden meaning in a shorter than usual response, bracing yourself for conflict that has not actually happened yet. I want you to consider how exhausting it is to carry the emotional temperature of every relationship in your life as though it were entirely your responsibility to manage alone. My beloved child, you were never meant to carry the full weight of every relationship's stability by yourself, constantly monitoring, constantly adjusting, constantly trying to prevent every possible misunderstanding before it even has a chance to occur. I also want to speak to the specific fear of abandonment that sometimes sits underneath this relational vigilance, a fear that may have genuine roots in real experiences of people who did in fact leave or disappoint you before. My beloved child, I want you to know that whatever has happened in your past relationships, I am not like those who left. My presence with you does not depend on your performance, your vigilance, or your ability to prevent every possible conflict. I remain regardless. I want you to notice how much freedom might be available to you if you allowed relationships to be genuinely mutual rather than solely your responsibility to protect. Trusting that the people who truly love you are also invested in the relationship's well-being, and trusting me with the parts of any relationship that remain entirely outside your control. So my beloved child, release the exhausting task of single-handedly managing every relationship's stability. Bring your specific relational fears to me honestly. Invest genuinely in the people you love without carrying the full weight of the outcome alone. And trust that I remain faithfully present with you regardless of how any particular relationship eventually unfolds. My beloved child, I have spoken to the fragile feelings surrounding your closest relationships, and now I want to address the specific anxiety that surfaces around decisions, the paralysis you sometimes feel when facing a choice that seems to carry too much weight, too many possible consequences, too much uncertainty about which path is actually right. My beloved child, I know how long you have sometimes stood at a particular fork, turning it over and over, afraid that choosing wrongly will cost you something you cannot get back. I want you to consider how this fear often assumes that only one path is acceptable, and that choosing incorrectly would place you permanently outside my care or my ability to work good even through an imperfect decision. My beloved child, I want to release you from this narrow assumption today. I am far more present and far more capable of working through your genuine, well-intentioned choices, even the imperfect ones, than this fear allows you to believe. I also want to speak to how paralysis itself, the endless delay of an actual decision, often cost you more than simply choosing and adjusting course later ever would. My beloved child, waiting indefinitely for absolute certainty before acting is rarely actually available to you, since certainty about outcomes is not something life typically offers in advance. I want you to consider that a reasonably wise decision, made with the information you currently have, is often more faithful than an indefinitely postponed decision made only once every variable has been accounted for. I want you to bring your specific decision to me honestly, naming the options, naming your fears about each one, and then trusting that I remain present and capable of working good through whichever reasonable path you eventually choose. My beloved child, I am not waiting to punish an imperfect decision. I am walking with you through whichever path you take, ready to redirect gently if adjustment is ever needed along the way. So my beloved child, release the paralysis that keeps you frozen before difficult decisions. Gather the wisdom available to you. Make the most faithful choice you reasonably can, and trust that I remain present with you inside whatever path you choose, capable of working good through it, regardless of whether it turns out to be the absolutely perfect option you were searching for. My beloved child, I have spoken to the paralysis surrounding difficult decisions, and now I want to address a quieter fear, the fear connected to your past mistakes, the way old failures sometimes resurface uninvited, replaying themselves with fresh shame even years after they occurred. My beloved child, I know certain memories still have the power to make your stomach drop, certain choices you wish you could take back, certain words you wish you had never said, certain seasons you wish had gone differently. I want you to consider how these old mistakes, when they resurface, often arrive with an implicit accusation, suggesting that your past failure defines your present worth, or worse, predicts your future capability. My beloved child, I want to correct this quietly damaging assumption today. A past mistake, however painful, is not a permanent verdict against you. It is simply something that happened, something I have already fully seen, and something I am fully capable of redeeming rather than holding eternally against you. I also want to speak to the specific exhaustion of carrying guilt you have never actually released. Guilt that continues resurfacing precisely because it has never been brought honestly into the light and left there. My beloved child, I want to invite you to bring your specific past mistakes to me plainly, naming them rather than letting them remain a vague, looming shame in the background of your thoughts. Trusting that my capacity to forgive is not smaller than the specific size of whatever you did. I want you to notice, too, how much anxious energy goes toward preventing any future mistake as a way of somehow compensating for the past one, an exhausting and ultimately impossible standard to maintain. My beloved child, perfection was never actually the standard I set for you. Honest, ongoing relationship with me, including honest acknowledgement of failure, was always the deeper invitation beneath the surface of every rule you have ever tried so hard to keep. So my beloved child, release the old mistakes that keep quietly resurfacing. Bring them honestly into the light. Receive the forgiveness that has already been extended to you, and let go of the exhausting attempt to earn back a standing with me that you never actually lost in the first place. My beloved child, I have spoken to the shame connected to your past mistakes, and now I want to address the specific isolation that anxiety often creates, the way it can quietly convince you to withdraw from other people precisely when their presence might actually help you most. My beloved child, I know how tempting it becomes in the middle of an anxious season to cancel plans, to avoid difficult conversations, to retreat into private worry rather than risk being fully seen in your current struggle. I want you to consider how this instinct toward isolation, while understandable, often deepens the very anxiety it is trying to protect you from, removing you from the kind of genuine connection and support that could actually help carry some of the weight you are currently carrying entirely alone. My beloved child, you were never designed to walk through anxious seasons in complete isolation, cut off from the community I have placed around you for exactly this kind of support. I also want to speak to the fear of being a burden, the belief that your anxious struggle is too much to share honestly with the people who care about you, that voicing it plainly would only inconvenience or exhaust them. My beloved child, genuine relationship involves carrying one another's burdens, and the people who truly love you are rarely as burdened by your honesty as your anxious mind convinces you they will be. Hiding your struggle protects no one. It simply isolates you further. I want you to consider taking one small step this week toward genuine connection, whether that means being honest with a trusted friend about what you are actually carrying, or simply choosing not to cancel a plan your anxiety is currently urging you to avoid. My beloved child, community was always part of my design for how healing actually happens, and I do not want you attempting this journey in complete isolation when support has been placed so near to you. So my beloved child, resist the pull toward isolation that anxiety so often creates. Reach toward genuine connection, however small the step, trusting that you were never meant to carry this weight entirely alone, and that the community I have placed around you is part of how my peace is often extended into your actual daily life. My beloved child, I have spoken to the isolation anxiety often creates, and now I want to address the specific practice of gratitude, not as a denial of genuine struggle, but as a counterweight that can gently loosen anxiety's grip on your attention. My beloved child, I know how strange it might sound to speak of gratitude in the middle of genuine fear, as though naming a few good things could somehow erase the real difficulty you are currently facing. I do not intend gratitude as denial. I intend it as a widening of your attention beyond only the threats your anxious mind keeps highlighting. I want you to consider how anxiety naturally narrows your attention toward danger, scanning constantly for what might go wrong, while quietly filtering out the ordinary good that remains present, even in difficult seasons. My beloved child, gratitude is not a technique for pretending your circumstances are better than they are. It is simply a practice of allowing your attention to include what is also actually true and good, alongside whatever difficulty remains genuinely present. I also want to speak to how small, specific gratitude tends to be more effective than vague, general gratitude. Noticing the particular warmth of sunlight through a window, the particular kindness of a friend's specific text message, the particular relief of a single ordinary task completed well. My beloved child, I want you to practice naming these small specific things, not as a replacement for honest lament, but as a companion to it, allowing both the difficulty and the goodness to be true at the same time. I want you to notice, over time, how this small practice can begin to loosen anxiety's exclusive claim on your attention, without requiring you to first resolve every genuine fear you are currently carrying. My beloved child, gratitude and anxiety can coexist honestly in the same season. And choosing to notice good alongside difficulty is not dishonesty. It is simply a fuller, more accurate picture of what is actually true in your life right now. So my beloved child, practice small, specific gratitude alongside your honest fears, not to deny what is difficult, but to widen your attention beyond only what anxiety keeps highlighting. Let both be true, the genuine difficulty and the genuine good. And let this widened attention slowly become a companion to the peace I am offering you. My beloved child, I have spoken to the practice of gratitude, and now I want to address the specific seasons of waiting that so often trigger your anxiety. The space between submitting an application and hearing back, between a medical test and its results, between a difficult conversation and its resolution. My beloved child, I know these waiting seasons feel like a particularly vulnerable kind of uncertainty, suspended between one settled state and another, unable to move forward or fully rest until the answer finally arrives. I want you to consider how much of your energy gets spent trying to somehow shorten or control these waiting seasons, checking repeatedly for updates, running scenarios about what the eventual answer might be, as though this mental effort could somehow influence the actual outcome, or at least prepare you more thoroughly for it. My beloved child, I want you to notice honestly whether this constant checking and rehearsing has ever actually changed the outcome, or whether it has simply made the waiting itself more exhausting than it needed to be. I also want to speak to what genuine faithfulness looks like within a waiting season. Not frantic monitoring, but steady, ordinary presence in the actual life you are still living, even while the answer remains pending. My beloved child, waiting seasons were never meant to be a suspended non-life, existing only in anticipation of the eventual answer. They are still genuine time, still part of your actual story, still worthy of your presence and attention, even while a specific question remains unresolved. I want you to practice during your current waiting season, returning your attention to what today actually holds, rather than letting the entire season become defined solely by the pending answer. My beloved child, I am present with you in the waiting itself, not only on the other side of it once the answer finally arrives, and I want you to experience my presence throughout the waiting, rather than only after it ends. So my beloved child, release the exhausting effort to control or shorten your current season of waiting. Return your attention to what today actually holds. Trust that I remain present throughout the waiting itself, and know that this season, however uncertain it currently feels, is still genuine time, still worthy of your full presence, still held completely within my care. My beloved child, I have spoken to the seasons of waiting that trigger your anxiety, and now I want to address one final quiet fear. The fear that your anxiety itself will never fully heal, that this is simply who you are now, permanently, without any real hope of change. My beloved child, I want to speak directly into this fear today, because I know it sometimes settles in more heavily than any single specific worry, a kind of despair about the pattern itself rather than about any one particular scenario. I want you to consider that healing rarely arrives as a single dramatic moment, but far more often as a slow, uneven process, marked by genuine progress alongside occasional setbacks, by seasons of relative calm, followed by seasons where old patterns resurface unexpectedly. My beloved child, this unevenness does not mean healing has failed or stalled permanently. It is simply the actual shape that most genuine healing takes, rarely a straight line, almost always a winding path with real progress still occurring beneath its uneven surface. I also want to speak to the danger of measuring your healing only by the presence or absence of anxious feelings on any given day, rather than by the deeper, slower shifts happening underneath, your growing willingness to name fears honestly, your growing capacity to interrupt overthinking sooner than before, your growing trust in my presence even in the middle of remaining uncertainty. My beloved child, these deeper shifts matter tremendously, even on days when anxious feelings still resurface strongly. I want you to release the fear that this current struggle is your permanent, unchangeable identity. My beloved child, I am patiently at work in you, And patient work, however slow it sometimes feels, is still genuine work, still moving toward real change, even on the days when progress feels invisible or entirely absent. So, my beloved child, release the fear that your anxious mind is a permanent, unchangeable sentence. Healing is slow, uneven work, and I am patiently present with you throughout every stage of it, including the stages that currently feel like no progress at all. I am not finished with you, and I do not intend to leave this work incomplete. My beloved child, I have spoken to the fear that your anxious mind is a permanent sentence, and now I want to address the specific mornings when dread arrives before you have even fully opened your eyes. The heavy sense that something is wrong before your mind has even located a single specific reason why. My beloved child, I know this particular experience well, waking not into rest but into an already present weight, as though your body began bracing itself before your conscious mind had time to catch up. I want you to consider that this early morning heaviness is often simply your nervous system continuing a pattern it has practiced for a long time, not a supernatural warning or a sign that today specifically holds disaster. My beloved child, I do not want you interpreting this physical sensation as a prophecy. It is a pattern, learned and repeated, and patterns can shift slowly over time even when they do not disappear immediately. I also want to speak to the specific temptation, in these heavy mornings, to immediately begin scanning for what today might require, what might go wrong, what needs to be managed before you have even had a chance to simply be present to the actual morning in front of you. My beloved child, I want to invite you into a different first movement, even before your feet touch the floor. A brief acknowledgement of my presence with you before the scanning begins. A small anchor placed at the very start of the day, rather than only reached for once. The anxiety has already gathered momentum. I want you to notice that this practice will not instantly erase the heaviness, and I am not promising you an immediate transformation of your mornings. My beloved child, I am simply inviting you to place my presence at the beginning of the pattern, rather than only reaching for it in desperation once the day has already spiraled. Small, consistent placement of my presence at the start of hard mornings can slowly begin to shift the pattern, even when the shift is not immediate. So, my beloved child, bring your heavy mornings to me, the dread that arrives before you are even fully awake, the bracing your body does before your mind has caught up. Let me meet you there, at the very start of the day, not only once the anxiety has already fully taken hold. My beloved child, I have spoken to the heaviness of your mornings, and now I want to address the specific worry surrounding your work, the fear of not being enough, of falling behind, of disappointing those who depend on your performance. My beloved child, I know how easily your sense of worth becomes entangled with your productivity, how a single mistake at work can echo far longer than it reasonably should, coloring your sense of your own basic competence and value. I want you to consider how exhausting it is to treat every professional evaluation as though it were also a referendum on your fundamental worth as a person. My beloved child, your value was never actually tied to your output, your promotions, or the approval of supervisors and colleagues. It was settled long before any of these things, rooted in something far more stable than quarterly reviews or shifting workplace expectations. I also want to speak to the specific exhaustion of trying to be perpetually indispensable, believing that any slowdown, any mistake, any moment of simply being human at work will finally expose you as insufficient. My beloved child, competence does not require flawlessness, and genuine contribution does not require constant self-erasure in service of proving your worth over and over again to people whose approval was never actually meant to be your foundation. I want you to notice, too, how much of your work-related anxiety is actually rooted in a fear that has little to do with the work itself. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of losing something you have worked hard to build. My beloved child, I want you to bring this fear honestly before me, separating your genuine responsibilities, which are worth taking seriously, from the anxious over-functioning that adds nothing but exhaustion on top of already reasonable effort. So, my beloved child, release the belief that your worth depends on flawless professional performance. Do your genuine work faithfully, and release the exhausting compulsion to be perpetually indispensable in order to feel secure. Your worth was settled long before any evaluation, and it remains settled regardless of how any particular season at work happens to unfold. My beloved child, I have spoken to the worry surrounding your work, and now I want to address the specific anxiety many of you carry about your children, or those younger ones you love and feel responsible for. The fear that you might fail to protect them from every possible harm, every possible disappointment, every possible difficulty life might eventually bring them. My beloved child, I know this particular fear runs especially deep, because it involves not only your own well-being, but the well-being of someone whose safety feels entirely dependent on your vigilance. I want you to consider how impossible a task this actually is, protecting another person from every conceivable difficulty they might ever encounter across an entire lifetime you cannot fully see or control. My beloved child, I love the ones you love even more fully than you do, and I am present in their lives independently of your constant vigilance, working good in ways you cannot always perceive or orchestrate on your own. I also want to speak to the specific guilt that surfaces when you cannot prevent every disappointment or difficulty they eventually face, as though every hardship in their life reflects some failure of your love or attention. My beloved child, growth often requires difficulty, and shielding someone from every possible hardship is neither actually possible nor genuinely good for their eventual development into a resilient, capable person. I want you to release the impossible standard of total protection, doing your genuine part faithfully, while trusting me with the parts of their life that remain entirely outside your control. My beloved child, I am present with them exactly as I am present with you, and my care for them does not depend solely on the completeness of your vigilance. So, my beloved child, release the impossible task of protecting the ones you love from every possible difficulty. Love them faithfully, guide them wisely, and trust that I remain present in their lives in ways that extend far beyond what your own vigilance alone could ever accomplish. My beloved child, I have spoken to your fears for the ones you love, and now I want to address the specific weariness of praying about the same worry over and over without seeming to receive any clear answer. My beloved child, I know how discouraging it feels to bring the same fear before me repeatedly, wondering whether the silence you sometimes experience means I am not listening, or worse, that I do not particularly care about this specific concern. I want you to consider that my apparent silence is never actually absence. My beloved child, I am present in the waiting exactly as fully as I would be present in an immediate, obvious answer, even when that presence does not feel as reassuring as a clear resolution would. Silence in a specific season is not the same as abandonment, though I understand why it can feel that way when the same fear keeps circling without any visible resolution. I also want to speak to the practice of continuing to bring the same worry honestly before me, even without an immediate answer, rather than eventually giving up on bringing it at all. My beloved child, persistence in prayer is not evidence of insufficient faith. It is simply honest, ongoing relationship, continuing to speak even when the reply has not yet become clear, trusting that the relationship itself remains intact, regardless of how quickly resolution eventually arrives. I want you to notice, too, that some answers unfold slowly, gradually, through a whole unfolding season rather than through a single dramatic moment, and that this gradual unfolding is not a lesser or less genuine form of response. My beloved child, I am still working, even in seasons that currently feel unusually quiet, and I want you to keep bringing your specific worry honestly before me, trusting the relationship rather than requiring an immediate resolution as proof of my care. So, my beloved child, keep bringing your same worry honestly before me, even without an immediate answer. My silence is not my absence, and my slow unfolding is not evidence that I have stopped caring about this specific concern you keep bringing back to me. My beloved child, I have spoken to the weariness of praying about the same worry without a clear answer. And now I want to address one last quiet thing, the specific fear of simply being fully known. The worry that if someone truly saw every anxious thought, every hidden rumination, every private fear you carry, they would find you somehow too much, too fragile, too difficult to remain close to. My beloved child, I want to speak directly into this fear today, because I already know every single thought you have ever carried, and I have not withdrawn from you because of any of them. I want you to consider what it means that I already see the full extent of your anxious mind. Every scenario you have rehearsed, every fear you have never spoken aloud to another person, and that none of it has caused me to distance myself from you or reconsider my commitment to remain present in your life. My beloved child, this is not a small thing. It means you do not have to perform a calmer, more put-together version of yourself in order to remain worthy of closeness with me. I already know the real version, and I am already here. I also want to speak to how this security with me can slowly begin to soften your fear of being known by others as well, not requiring you to fully expose every private thought to every person, but gradually loosening the belief that your full self is somehow unacceptable or unlovable. My beloved child, being fully known by me first can become a kind of practice ground, a place where you learn that vulnerability does not have to end in rejection, before you slowly extend that same vulnerability towards safe, trustworthy people in your life as well. I want you to notice, finally, that none of what I have shared with you today requires you to have already mastered any of it before coming back to me again tomorrow. My beloved child, you will likely have another anxious morning, another racing night, another wave of worry about something you cannot fully control. This does not disqualify you from anything I have offered you today. Come back as many times as you need to, and I will still be here, patient, steady, and completely unwilling to withdraw from you because your healing is taking the slow, ordinary shape that most genuine healing actually takes. So my beloved child, release the fear of being fully known. I already see everything, and I remain fully present regardless of what I see. Let this security slowly become the ground you stand on, not only with me, but eventually with the safe people I have placed in your life as well. My beloved child, I have walked with you through all of this today, the fragile peace of the world set against the steady peace I offer, the shame of an anxious mind released, the impossible weight of tomorrow set back down, the lie of overthinking exposed, my own calm about your future extended toward you, your specific named fear brought into the light, the misunderstanding about uncertainty corrected, and even the smallest gaps of your ordinary day welcomed into my presence. My beloved child, none of this requires you to arrive instantly at some finished, permanent calm. Healing a racing mind is slow, repeated work, and I am not in a hurry with you. So my beloved child, go from here carrying not a formula but a relationship, not a technique for silencing every anxious thought, but a presence who remains with you inside them until they finally quiet. My peace is not fragile like the world's peace. It does not wait for your circumstances to resolve. It is not withheld until you feel strong enough to deserve it. And it does not require you to have already figured everything out. It is here, now, with you, exactly as you are, in the middle of everything still unresolved. Come back to me as often as you need to. I will still be here, unhurried, unshaken, and unwilling to leave you to carry any of this alone. My beloved child, if today all you can manage is a single honest breath, a single quiet acknowledgement that you are tired and afraid and still trying, that is enough for today. My beloved child, you do not need eloquent words to reach me, and you do not need to have your fears fully organized or fully resolved before you are welcome to come close. Come exactly as you are, in whatever state your mind and body currently find themselves, and let that be sufficient for this moment. My beloved child, tomorrow will bring its own portion of trouble, sufficient for that day alone, and you will not be asked to carry it today. Rest now, in whatever measure of rest is available to you, trusting that I remain awake and attentive even while you finally allow yourself to close your eyes. My beloved child, this is my peace, offered again as many times as you need it, for as long as this anxious season lasts, and for every ordinary day that follows after it. My beloved child, hear this one final word before you go. Nothing you have carried today has surprised me. Nothing you will carry tomorrow will surprise me either, and nothing about the slow, uneven shape of your healing has ever once diminished how completely I love you. My beloved child, walk gently with yourself the way I walk gently with you, patient with the process, unhurried with the timeline, and confident that this peace I have described today is not a distant ideal, but an actual gift, already given, already yours, already available the next time your mind begins to race and you remember to come back to me.